Well, hello and happy new year 2024. The year is upon us. Fresh slate, clean slate, endless possibilities. I'm hoping that you are excited. You've got some goals, you've got some ambitions, and I look forward to helping you with those goals and ambitions in your remodeling business through this podcast or through coaching that I offer. You can always learn more about what I offer at remodelersontherise.com. Have you ever had a project where you got done with the project and you're like, man, that was a good one. Things just went smoothly. That was high value. That was a great client experience that we offered. I'm sure you have. Well, when I do some of my coaching and some of my podcast episodes, sometimes I get off of it and I go, ooh, that was a good one. Not that not all of them are good, but some are better than others. And when I got done with an interview, I was on the receiving end of the interview with Dominic Rubino. He runs a podcast called Profit Tool Belt. When I got off the Zoom with him, I thought, that was a good one. We need to repurpose that and get it on the Remodelers on the Rise podcast. Dominic was a fun interview, and we dug into making sure that we are no longer doing all of our design and project development and estimating for free. We don't want to do that, folks. We need to build the value of what you do in design and project development and estimating, and we need to help our prospects and our clients understand that we charge for that service. So if you aren't doing it right now, aren't charging for design and development, listen to this. And if you are doing it, you're going to hear some new nuggets, maybe some tweaks that you might like to make to the way that you're approaching charging for design and development. All right, so we're off and rolling. Enjoy today's episode. Look forward to a wonderful 2024. Feel free to reach out anytime. Feel free to give me a little 5-star review on your favorite podcast app if you like, and enjoy today's episode.
Aha, Mr. Kyle Hunt. How are you?
I'm doing well this fine day, sir. How are you?
You are. You look very serious right now, although I love your hat.
Was it my face and inflection was a little serious? Is that what
Yes,
you were noticing?
yeah, everything was very serious there.
I mean, when you counted down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I mean, you look serious, and then you flash this fake smile. Like I'm on recording now. I must have just still had a small
You must have,
smirk,
yeah, you're
but
just
I
the way
can
it
see
is.
there. Now I'm friendly.
Yeah, now you're friendly. No, it's all good. It's all good. You're a pro on podcasts. We'll come to that in a second, anyways. But maybe you could read out your hat so people know what is it?
Yes, it says
Read.
Remodelers on the
Love it.
Rise.
I love it. I love it. Well, that's how you and I
Remodelers.
met through your show.
Yes.
I love it. Today, I sought you, I seeked you, I hunted you,
Mm-hmm.
you because I
Mm-hmm.
want to talk to you about a problem that happens all too often in the contracting trades, which is free estimates.
Mm-hmm.
And you have some interesting. I like your approach to the free estimate conversation. Is the smiles coming back on your face?
Okay.
Well,
Now
let
I'm
me
now I'm
start here.
being now I'm more cognizant of my smile. I'm gonna have to work on that.
Yeah, it's just a little salad in your teeth there.
Mm-hmm.
I meant to tell you that before we hit
Mm-hmm.
record. Uh, Kyle Hunt, who the heck are you?
Who the
And
heck am I?
how is it you come to be speaking to all these contracting business owners all around the world?
Oh, you think I'm worldwide?
Yeah, this show goes globally. It's probably pinging
Oh,
off the little green Martians in space.
wow. I got chills almost thinking about that. So I am born and raised and still live in the great state of Michigan, and went to college. And then one fateful day, through some different entrepreneurial things, I got connected to a gentleman who, right before I graduated college, who ran a plumbing, heating, cooling, and remodeling business.
Mm.
And through another entrepreneurial thing, we connected, and he said, "Hey, I wonder if they're teaching this kind of thing at college there. We're looking to bring somebody onto our team to help with our marketing and our advertising and to take over that new position in our company." And as he
Mm.
described it, I said, "You're talking about me here." So we ended up playing around a golf, which I didn't show any mercy to him. I whooped his butt. None of this. Well, I'm taking a prospective employer out. I just played
You
like
just,
I
yeah.
Yeah, normally would. Don't show any mercy. And then we talked business, we talked shop, and I think he offered me a big $41,000 salary, which was
Changed
music
your
to my
world.
ears. Yeah,
Changed your
indeed.
world. Yeah.
Yeah, and because these kids coming out of college, yeah, back then, 41,000 bucks a year. You kidding me? Plus benefits. Woo! This
Yeah.
is amazing. So I ended up working for them for 3 going on maybe 4 years. And as I got involved in that side of things, I started managing their showroom and their bath and kitchen
Hmm.
designers. I got involved in the financial side of the business and just got more of an overall view of the remodeling and contracting world. And I've always been
Right.
bent towards being an entrepreneur. So it's been about 16 years ago. I turned to my wife and I said, honey, we got you're a stay-at-home mama. We got one kid, another one on the way. It's a crappy economy here in Michigan. This was 2008.
Oh,
We got no money in the bank to fall back on, and I want to quit my job and start my own business.
yeah. Isn't that a great kitchen table conversation?
Yes. And I mean, now she's like, remember, I just said it was the greatest idea ever. It was something like that. Kudos. We did pull the trigger on it. I kind of weaned myself off my former
Oh,
employer
pal.
and kind of built up my side of things. And shortly after I started my business, just offering coaching, in particular at that point, marketing coaching, I kind of put
Right.
my flag in the ground and said, you know what? I know the remodeling industry. I'm going to
Mm.
call these different home builder associations, start doing a little 10 top 10 marketing tips, picked up some remodeling clients, and have just been hyper focused on most of my clients do kitchens, baths, additions, basements, that type of work. And
Mm.
I've been hyper focused on that for 15 years.
You're in good company on this show because a lot of the listeners here do that or do that as part of the other things they do.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I know each other through the podcasting world. My show takes the approach of we're in the business of the contracting business. We're in
Yeah.
the business of the construction business. So I like that background. I like that
Yeah.
background.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
don't have a lot of skills when it comes to swinging the hammer. I can paint a little bit. I'm pretty good at that.
Mm.
My grandpa on my dad's side was a painter. My grandpa on my other side, my mom's side was a builder. So I think it's in my blood.
Yeah.
But as I've been coaching over the years, I really coach around 4 key areas of financials, really
Yeah.
understanding our numbers, marketing, number 2, number 3 is your sales process, number 4, leadership. So do a lot of one-on-one coaching and that side of things.
Yeah. Very similar to me. Very
Yep.
similar to me.
Yep.
So today, though, we're going to pick your brain. We're going to crack open your skull and we're going to look inside and you've probably heard this frustration a lot of times. There's a business owner out there who's trying to grow. He is working harder than ever before. The work I keep saying he or she, but the work he's doing
I was going to
brings
correct
in,
you, but it's your show. I'm not gonna
yeah,
make a
yeah.
big deal
I'm
about it.
generalizing. I'm generalizing.
Yes, yes.
So you got a business owner out there, they're doing such good work, they're getting lots of calls because people have seen their work. And so getting work's not the problem, or getting requests isn't the problem. Getting work is the problem because they are running and running and running, chasing free estimates.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're doing free estimates and doing all this free intellectual property work, really, which
Mm-hmm.
is what it is. They're not winning the jobs. They're not getting paid to do these estimates, and it's wasting their time. And actually, let me take it to one other level, Kyle. I wonder if you hear this from people as well. I just went and bid a job and I couldn't go see my son's soccer game, my daughter's softball game. My wife needed to go to choir practice and I made her stay home to do this and that so I could do an estimate. And the people didn't even, go through with it, but it was a free estimate.
Yep.
Same.
Blech.
Do you hear the same? Yeah, I know.
Yes. And heaven forbid we miss choir practice. Like my wife's the church choir director. So
Okay.
that's a
Yeah,
big problem if we miss choir practice.
it is, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Seven
I know.
o'clock tonight, we'll be there at 6:58 because to be early is on time, to be on time is late, and to be late is to be dead.
That sounds like something that I live by. But
Yep.
we have enough tough conversations at the table with our family. The one thing that, let's say in this case, your wife is the choir director, the one thing she counts on and looks forward to all week is that choir practice. And if you let her down because you're a business owner, and everybody listening's nodding their head. That situation or something like it is the worst.
Yeah.
Actually, go ahead.
Yeah, and I like how you're tying together this idea of free estimates, this idea of what we're going to talk about maybe to mitigate some of that. And you're directly tying it to the fact that you haven't developed a more thoughtful protecting your time system when it comes to all of your estimating and pricing work, you're making that direct connection between work-life balance, which that's where I love to talk and love to coach is around. Yeah, we want to make more money. Yes, we want to reduce our stress, but this is also about our business supporting the life that we want versus the other way around, which is all too often the case.
So if I understand you correctly, today you're going to show us some things to say, very simple lines and positioning tools that will help us get our time back and reduce the stress in our
Sounds so
family.
powerful. Yes, I am going to do that to
Yeah.
your worldwide audience.
Global. You
Global.
should say global.
Global audience.
Yeah, global audience. So I've posed the question, Mr.
Yes.
Kyle. Mr. Kyle, I'm going to call you Sir Kyle. Sir Kyle, what should we do if
Yes.
we're running a company where we're running around like a chicken with our head cut off, doing free estimates, and it's frustrating the heck out of us and impacting our life?
Got it. So part of the reason that we are running around and doing free estimates is because we have this thought in our head that that is exactly what we are supposed to do, and that is exactly what all of our prospective clients are expecting and want.
And all of our competitors are doing it too, right?
Oh yes, nobody could possibly be doing it differently. Everybody's giving a free estimate. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. So the part of the first thing is that if you believe that that is what you have to do, if that is your mindset, you're going to get stuck in it. And the fear of trying something different, or the fear of charging for the design and development work that you do, is going to prevent you from even considering it. You're going to have the fear that nobody else in my area is doing it. They're going to say no to me. There's all kinds of head trash around this topic that people have. So, the first thing that we need to do is deal with that head trash and deal with that mindset that you have, which is, I have to offer free estimates. It's the only way I'm ever going to sign any work.
Yeah. It's interesting that you start this whole thing talking about head trash. And I love the saying head trash. Have you ever heard the joke that says, gentlemen, you have a 4-inch problem?
I have not heard that one.
Oh, well, and it's not, I mean, you might have a 6-inch problem. And now people are tuning in very carefully. Although we don't cuss, curse, or swear on the show, because but the 4 inches is the 4 inches between your ears.
Yes. I knew that's where you were going. My head didn't go anywhere else, like some of these people listening to this.
Yeah. But isn't it funny that it's what's going on in my head that drives so much of what comes out?
Yeah. So, some thoughts related to that is what I like to say to clients is, well, first of all, let's really think through, and this is maybe coming from a little bit more of a remodeling focus, if we can just kind of go down that road. Let's say it's a kitchen remodeling project. When you step back and start to think about everything that needs to go into creating a design and a project development and all of the work that you put in to do that properly, and you start listing that out, that is a good exercise to do. All right, we actually provide some design services. Well, we do it through an outside designer, but we still provide that, or we do that in-house. We're going to develop the scope of work. We're going to deal with all of the zoning potential issues, all of the permitting potential issues. We're going to get our trade partners. They're not subcontractors. They're not sub anything. They're trade partners, people that we trust, that we worked with for years. We're going to be communicating with our electrician and our plumber and our drywall company, etc. We're going to walk our clients through all of the selection process and help guide that to make sure that when this kitchen contract is signed, that it's not a lazy scope of work, not very well thought out, and a bunch of allowances. No, that is not the way we're going to approach this. We want a detailed specifications, detailed scope of work. We want to squash all of the allowances into firm selections. And when we sign that contract, we want all of that to be figured out, because that's what's going to lead to a much more smooth, on time, on budget process.
Now, is that kind of what you say to people when they ask for a free estimate?
No, I'm still messing with the people's minds that are saying, can I do this? So just think between those 4 inches or whatever you were talking about, think about that and realize all of the work that goes into doing the upfront design and development properly.
Yeah.
You may not be doing all of that right now because you're offering free estimates, because you are offering trying to do that for everybody, and it's impossible. When
Yeah.
you do this properly, the list of work that you put in to go through design and development is substantial. The next thing I would say to somebody listening and considering this is you can still offer a free estimate. I'm happy for you to offer a free estimate.
Right.
Let's define our terms, though.
Oh, I like
A
this.
fr-
I think I know where this is going. So I want to
yes,
keep an
just
open
like I
mind.
knew where that whole head thing was going.
Right. So how would I offer a free estimate when you and I just said we shouldn't be doing free estimates, Kyle?
Yes. If you really still want to offer a free estimate, what you can do is on that kitchen project, you may do this over the phone. You may do this by visiting the job site and taking a look at it. And based on your years of experience, based on the project that they're talking about and that you're looking at, and based on other projects that you've done that are similar in size and scope, here's your free estimate. This project's going to range anywhere from $70,000 to $100,000. And then we just be quiet.
I love
right?
it.
We be quiet. Call it a ballpark range or call it a free estimate. There's your free estimate.
I want to I want to help the audience understand two things that you did that I observed in that statement. So, because I want people to not just blow past this and go, yeah, that was interesting. Kyle did two things. The first thing he did was bracketing. So the bracketing was, you said, yeah, I can give you a free estimate. It's going to be to somewhere between $70,000 to $100,000, whatever you said, 110.
Yep.
That's called bracketing. The lower number is pretty close to where it should be. The higher number is kind of a high Hail Mary number, right?
Okay. Yeah, fair.
And then the second thing you did, which was interesting, is you said, and then silence.
Yes.
Yeah, zip it. So guys, did you just hear that awkward pause on the podcast? So the power of that side, Kyle, why would you add silence after that?
Because I am looking for a reaction to the number that I gave out. I may ask, what are you looking to invest in this project? They may say, we really are not sure. You could respond with, well, that's awesome. I have always wanted to build $1 million kitchen. And then they'll go, oh, that was
I like your sense
funny.
of humor. That's
yes,
pretty
right.
close to how I would do it.
Yeah, it'll get them to chuckle. But we always, before we ask, how much are you looking to invest, we already have projects and kind of a ballpark range or a free estimate, if you will, in our head floating around. So we're able to then give them that ballpark range. And then the reason we're quiet is because we want to hear their reaction. They'll go from not having, what I like to call that is the moment of truth. The problem with free estimates, the way a lot of people are doing it, is they're meeting with them. They're saying, well, we'll go back and we'll run some numbers and we'll put together an estimate for you. And you put together a lot of time, a lot of energy, several hours of, depending on the project, of putting this together. And then you finally get to the moment of truth where they will have a reaction to the price that you're putting in front of them. By giving them that range, we're moving up that moment of truth a lot earlier in the process.
Right. And they can
we
say
have
no.
that yeah, we have that moment of truth, and sometimes, wow, that is just way more than I thought it would be. And then we don't run out the door. We educate them. We start to explain it to them. We show them examples of what that looks like and why it is what it is. But the big thing that we do after we give that free estimate or that ballpark range is that we are then able to say the next step in our process is the design and development process. Here's everything that includes, and the goal at the end of that is for us to have done so much work up front that your project goes smoothly, on time, on budget. And we have to devote a lot of time and resources to do that, and we do charge for that work.
Right. Boom. And how much do you charge for that work, Kyle?
We actually charge 2% of the high end of the budget range I gave you.
Oh, that's an interest. I've never heard that approach. Excellent.
Or we charge $2,000 for this kitchen.
Yeah.
Or fill in blank. The thing that I mentioned, you kind of like, that's interesting. A percentage of the high end of the budget range. Is that what jumped out at you?
Yeah. I've never heard that before. I like that.
The reason I kind of throw that out there is you kind of look the brackets of going, 70,000 is probably the accurate one. Hundreds maybe pie in the sky. I would say usually my remodelers are kind of putting that what they expect it to be, kind of in the middle of that. The reason I like to kind of present it at the high end of the range is, one, it catches their attention. It reminds them of what the higher number is because all they're going to fixate on is the lower number. And thirdly, when I say, we do base it on the high end of the range, because what we have found is that as we walk people through all of the design decisions, as we walk people through all of the selections, people typically end up at the higher end of the range. That is what our experience has shown us. They decide that they do want to upgrade the countertop. They do want the slow close this. So we're already guiding them and leading them towards, through the process in a way that's going to be realistic for them.
People that aren't watching this on YouTube can't see me doing this, but
yes, you have a hand up, sir.
I have my hand up.
Yes,
but Kyle, what if they say no? What if they say that's too high? That's ridiculous. There's no way I'd spend 70 to 100 grand on my kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll come back with the second question: is you want me to pay for an estimate when everybody else does it for free?
Yes.
But let's deal with the first one first.
Yeah, I mean, the first part of it is, again, that is exactly what that person would have said if you would have spent 5 hours working through some design, working through some estimating, and you finally get to the moment of truth. They would have said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
$87,000. We thought this was going to cost $40,000.
Yeah, and it was going to take a half hour, like on TV.
Yeah, but in my approach, you had a meeting and you shared that range and you educated them on why, and you presented what the next step in the process is. The other way, you have spent hours and hours and hours and you've piddled that away, and it's wasted time that you didn't go, your wife wasn't able to go to choir practice and you missed that soccer game. And also you didn't have time to be a little bit more proactive with managing the project that you have going. You didn't have time to do that marketing that you're aiming to do. You didn't have time to review your profit and loss statement or your job cost reports, because there's so much wasted time chasing projects that are not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. It's the quality. What we're talking about here, folks, in the sales process is qualifying, making sure that we're dealing with only the best and most qualified customers. And you're not going to win them all. But we have to try. We have to try to win them all. But if they don't meet our criteria, then they have to move on. I had a situation where, and this happened to be a cabinetry company, so they didn't do remodels. They built kitchen cabinets. But we introduced the same model that you and I are talking about here, and the design fee was $2,500 per design. Well, they got almost no resistance to offering design fees. And they were a very professional organization, family business. You felt like it was a big hug you were walking into when you walked into their showroom. But what was interesting is that was a $60,000 lift to their business.
Yeah.
Just by doing $2,500 design consults.
Yep. So it can turn into a profit center. As people are starting down this process, I like to bring the barrier of saying yes, it's down as far as possible. So as part of that $2,500, by the way, if you decide to go forward with us, we'll apply that $2,500 to your final payment.
Right. And so I love that. Thank you for adding that in. I used to be partners with Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy is an author who's written many, many books: The Psychology of Selling, The Psychology of Achievement, Eat That Frog, etc. And when Brian was talking about dealing with price objections around this very subject, he would say, yes, we do free estimates for qualified customers. And so your estimate is free if you decide to go ahead with us, because we'll just knock it off the actual price of the renovation or the remodel or the roofing job, whatever it is. So we do free estimates for qualified customers. It sets you apart.
Yep. You could go that route. Again, I like to have a lot of space between free estimate and detailed design and development. And I like to make those things totally different things and spread out as far as I can, meaning the depth of everything that's going into the design and development, and you also know what you're getting with a free estimate. I also mentioned, just because you like the wording earlier, I mentioned applying that design development amount to the final payment. I've had clients do it where they apply it to the initial down payment. A client's not going to feel that very much. They're already cutting a deposit check, etc. I like to keep it at the end of the project, because we had that final little tweak, we had that final little change order, or whatever the case might be. But a lot of times when we're at the end, they've kind of forgotten all about it, and they look at that final invoice and they see minus $2,500. Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. And it's just a really nice. I think you get a little bit more lift. Move. Yeah, you get a little more lift out of it.
Let me stop for a second and remind people, folks, if you're not taking notes today, what are you doing?
It's a good question. I mean, if they're
right?
driving, we want them to
Oh,
not
I
be.
expect them to be typing as they're driving, pal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they might do
No,
things
but
differently in
take
Canada.
take notes and make sure you're grabbing. This is because this is good stuff.
Yeah. The second part that you asked was, what do you say when they say you want to charge me for a free estimate? That was the second thing you were asking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, if somebody says that, I have not done a good job in the lead up of how I work to help them see the difference between those two things, right?
Right.
Because, why do I charge? We don't charge for a free estimate. We don't charge for that ballpark range for the time that I took to share ideas with you, to come out here, to evaluate your project, to hear your ideas, to think about projects that we've done, to apply my knowledge to that and give you that educated ballpark range. That's the free estimate.
Yeah.
But that's a big time difference between, let me show you some of the example designs that we do. So we do charge for this, but you see how you're going to get a wonderful feeling from a 3D model of what that's going to look like. You can see these examples of selection sheets. We're going to make sure there's no allowances. Say it with me, prospect. You hate allowances because they end up costing you time and money and extending your project. Oh yeah, I guess that is important. We
Yeah.
do more work up front before a hammer ever hits the job site because we want this to be a wonderful experience for you. The horror stories that you hear is because somebody gives a non-detailed scope of work, a bunch of allowances. We haven't thought through the design details. We haven't thought through if we're going to put in the angle, if we're going to put the tile in straight or angled. None
Mm.
of that has been thought through. And that's where the nightmare stories and this kitchen project that should take X amount of time takes 4 times longer. Our process prevents that.
I love it. Yeah, and so what you're talking about here is like professionalizing our companies,
Yeah.
making sure that we have a system. I call them simple systems. But when I show a potential customer that I have a process for even accepting them as a new project, they know that I have a process for producing
Mm-hmm.
their project. And that's going to make all of the difference because we've all been there at our own kitchen table when somebody's come and bid on some work for our house and we've got two bids in front of us. Just for the sake of it, say one came in at $10,000, another one came in at $12,000. But the $10,000 job, I don't know, the guy was late for the meeting.
Yeah.
He wrote it on the back of his business card. He was dirty when he came in. He was rude. He didn't take off his boots. The $12,000 guy was professional, had nice looking material, didn't have to be fancy, was consistent in his approach, spoke well, explained his process. And you look at each other and go, you know what, for the $2,000, I don't want to take the chance on the $10,000 guy.
Yeah.
We can't afford it. We can't afford to take that $2,000 bet that the 10 grand guy is going to be our guy. Let's go with the $12,000 bid. And I'm talking, it could be awnings for your window, anything of that range. It doesn't matter, but you make the decision based on value for money.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So the couple comments on that and some piggybacking on what else I said. The whole clarity on 5 powerful words. This is how we work. This is how we work. Presenting your process. So many people listening to this. If I were to say, can you just show me high level, step by step, what your process looks like?
Mm.
Well, I can verbally say it because I
We do it
do
all the
it and
time.
I mention it, but putting it in writing is so powerful. The thing when you start to charge for design and development, when I arrive at the job site, this person is already very well aware of what's going to happen at this meeting and also what the next step is. Because they go to my remodeling website and they click on the Our Process page and they can see that step 1 is that phone call, step 2 is the in-house appointment where we give you a ballpark range or free estimate, and then step 3 is the design and development process.
Yeah.
If they followed me on social media, I talk about the design development process a lot. When I was on the phone with them and getting to know their project and I booked that in-person appointment, if that's the process that you have, some people ballpark price and qualify over even that initial phone or Zoom call. Very intriguing to do that initial meeting via Zoom, by the way, but that can be a talk for later. But when I'm showing up there, they are not surprised that I am charging for design and development because my marketing and my sales and what I've said on the phone, they already are expecting it. If you're surprising them that you charge for design and development, you're not doing it right.
Right.
So
right.
that's another aspect of this.
Let me take you to another place in this because obviously you've put this system in place for business owners for many years. Can you tell me about a story that you heard back from a business owner who went and tried it the first time? and it didn't go so well. They came back and they said, "Hey, Kyle, I tried that thing we're working on.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what happened." Do you have a story for that?
Yeah. I had one that comes to mind of, well, we've tried that and it didn't work.
Hmm.
Okay, how many times did we try it? Oh, a handful of times. Like how many times? Two. Okay, all right, two times. Were they surprised that you charged for design and development? Yeah, they were a little surprised. They were kind of taken aback by it. Okay. So we didn't really prep it very well or talk about it very well. Okay. Um, so yes, there are times where, we just are haphazard with it and we didn't do it properly, like a lot of new things we're trying. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely have stories about that, but I have way more stories of somebody that is going into it with 20% confidence. I don't know if this is going to work. This is going to be scary to tell them this and to
Yeah.
present this. And then they get a check in their hand with a signed design and development agreement, and their confidence goes from 20% to 90%.
Yeah. Right away, doesn't it?
You are already doing most of this work. You just don't value it enough to start charging for it. Oh, by the way, you can apply that to their project to whittle that scariness down.
Yeah.
So what I hear more times than not is somebody that is intimidated by it. I don't know if it's going to work. I've heard you talk about it. I've heard some others, talk about it with success. I'm going to try it. I'm going to be brave enough to try it. And then once you get that first check, that totally changes the mindset of anybody who's doing this.
Yeah. The one story that comes to mind for me is I had somebody who was resistant to doing it, but they knew they needed to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a just kitchen remodel company, like most of us on your show and lots of people listening here are in kitchen remodel, and the number 2,500 wasn't comfortable to them, and so they knocked it down. They said 1,250. They kind of blurted it out. That in their mind that was the value, and so when we had our next meeting, I said, "Hey, how did it go?" We went through a couple things. Said, "Well, did you get the design consult fee?" And they said, "Yeah, but I didn't feel good saying 2,500, so I cut it to 1,250, and they took it right away." And this was a husband and wife pair. She was so happy they had done it. And then we've got to win. My next
Yeah.
goal is not to belittle the effort of this business owner who's made
Yeah.
this massive change. All I came back with, I said, "Okay, so you've sold one at $1,250. It doesn't matter if you're not doing it at 2,500, but that's the last one you sell at 1,250. The next one has to be $1,251."
Yeah.
And so then the two of them are laughing. They're like, "I know where
Yeah.
you're going with this, Dom." But
Right.
it doesn't matter. Just get on the path and you'll
Yeah.
start to get better, right?
Yeah. And that's part of just, I don't really care charge 500, charge 400, charge 800, whatever's comfortable for you. That number will go up. I mean, this is long term. This is you deciding if you're going to transform your sales process to stop offering free estimates and wasting time. Here's something. I've taught this to, I don't know, well over 100 remodelers at this point. Not a single one of them
Has
have
gone back.
retracted it and gone
Right.
back.
Yeah, I was just going to say, nobody goes back.
Tom,
No,
tell your listeners to rewind this 10 seconds so they can listen to that statement again.
rewind this 10 seconds.
I've taught this to 100 people. See, even if they didn't follow your orders, so we'll still give it to them. Not a single one of them, once they build the confidence and clarity and process for this, have retracted back. It just you once you are in that mindset, that doggone it, this is the key to the project going smoothly. I can't possibly do the amount of work up front if I'm doing this for free. And once you've had success with it, your main goal is simply to build the value and to sell the value of the design and development process. Ask me about why I keep saying design and development at some point too, because that's purposeful.
Hey, Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Why do you keep saying design and development process?
That is a wonderful question. You are an excellent podcast host, and I can't believe that you picked that question out of the blue. Part of the main reason for that is there are times where a lead might be coming from an architect, from a designer, or they might already have plans. And I like to have that mindset of, wonderful, we offer design and project development. In this case, there's not a lot of design work to do. We still want to review that. We still want to contribute towards that, but we still definitely have the project development aspect of things. Here's all of the scope that goes into that work. And it just allows you, when we say design agreement, it kind of limits the way that sounds to a homeowner. And frankly, the project development is just as weighty and time consuming, if not more, than the design portion. So I like to really emphasize that development and explain what that means.
Fantastic. I think people should rewind this entire episode and listen to it again, because we're really talking about a change in the business model that moves you towards more profits and more personal time.
Yeah.
So I don't want to understate the importance of today's episode, and I'm really appreciative that you came here to share this.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody wants to find you in this big, wide world we live in, this global,
worldwide, global, whatever you call it.
Yeah, world we live in, how do we find you?
Let me answer that in a second, but if I could put a bow on our topic, yes, more profits, yes, more time. But there's a ripple effect even greater than that of doing this. When you are properly doing the work up front in design and development, your production is going to go so much smoother. There's going to be less fires. The materials are going to be already selected and ordered well in advance. All of your trades have properly reviewed it and given you a fixed price number.
Right.
There's so many things that you guys and gals are dealing with. See what I did? I almost said guys. You guys and gals are dealing with in the field, and the majority of the fires is because we did not properly do the upfront work. Yeah. You cannot, I repeat, 15 years of coaching remodelers, you cannot offer free estimates and properly do design and development upfront. You will sign contracts that aren't detailed, and you'll have a bunch of selections, and your projects are going to be a lot more bumpy. So production goes smoother. There's a ripple effect that this does that really affects. And yes, because things run smoother financially, your job costing is tighter. You have less slippage. Your margins are held onto. You're able to produce more work. Your top line revenue is up. And yes, to more profits and more time. Absolutely. So if somebody, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think we're going to have you back one day just to talk about the negative aspects of charging for design and project development.
Well, no one else is doing it.
That would be a short, episode.
Yes. When somebody says, by the way, no one else is doing it, good. That means you're different.
Yeah. If all of my competitors have a lousy business model, good for them. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, back to mindset. What I say to myself when no one is listening is what the world sees when everyone is watching. And it's interesting that this topic today has so much to do with the mindset of success, of what I call being a forward-facing business owner.
Yeah, I like that.
You were just going to tell us where we find you.
I just had to put a bow on that.
Yeah.
So you can go to remodellersontherise.com, remodellersontherise.com. When you go there, you're going to see a link that's to the podcast. Got a podcast that's produced every week. You're going to see a link to Remodelers Vault, VAULT, where there's a bunch of free templates, tools, resources. You're going to find a link to Remodelers Community. You can also go to remodelerscommunity.com. That is a private Facebook group I have with going on about 1,500 remodelers, and it's really, really, really valuable. And the conversation level is very quality. So I'd recommend that. And that'll kind of get you to where my stuff is. When you do go to the website and you click on courses, you might just see a course where I unpack charging for design and development, in case you're intrigued.
You might see it there. Well, Kyle, I very much appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your insight, expertise, your humor. Just so you know, your humor is just about as good as mine.
Almost.
Yeah. It's. I
mean, you got a couple more years of practice.
Yeah.
You got a couple more years of practice than me, don't you?
Yeah, a couple more. It doesn't mean I'm getting any better.
That's right.
Yeah.
One of my actually my employees' brothers. He goes, "Hey, do you think your business is still has hit its peak yet?" And I said, Johnny boy, I'm in my prime right now, man. I'm in my prime. It's still going up. He goes, well, good, because we'd have to change your name to Remodelers on the Fall instead of Remodelers on the Rise.
Oh my gosh.
So like your humor is still on the rise, but there's going to be a time where it might peak.
Yeah.
It might go down, but we'll never know.
Oh no. My humor will continue to deliver badly, poorly timed. Yeah. I'm going to stop there because I have lots more to say, but that's probably a good place for us to stop. Kyle, thanks very much for being on the show. And I do think we're going to have you back again one day to unpack some more of the other areas of expertise that you bring.
Yeah, I would love to. Thanks for having me.
Hopefully I could be on your show too.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks.